Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cure for the Common Game. Today, in deck number 396, we're going to talk about Kiyomaro, First to Stand. Now, as we all know, in Saviors of Kamigawa, we had 5 of the Maros, one for each color, all legendary, so they get decks. I've already done a couple, but this is the white one, and I've actually had a chance. I built this in record time, 30-something minutes. I had the commander in a box with sleeves and, just a few, like 3 or 4 cards. But on the way home, my mind was working one day, and I got home and I knew it all clicked in. So let's talk about it. Okay, power and toughness equal number of cards in your hand, like all the Maros are. Well, almost all of them. They all have to do with something about cards in hand. Maybe not yours, but as long as you got 4 or more cards, he's a vigilant. 5 mana, 4/4 vigilant. That's, about what we'd expect. But then, whenever Kiyomaro deals damage, if you have 7 or more cards in hand, you gain 7 life. Now, what occurred to me was, now this card has been out for a while. What is that? 14 years? And I've read the card a million times, but much like Nicol Bolas, the word combat's not in there. Whenever Kiyomaro deals damage, if you have 7 or more cards in hand, you gain 7 life. Now, here's the issue. We need white card draw. And that, maybe not card draw, but we need ways to put cards in our hand. And there's a clear way of doing that in white. So, let's get to it. I did actually have a chance to play the deck, and it stood up very well. It came down out of 6 players. It came down to me and one other player, the eventual winner. But the Explorer here was able to get me 4 planes in my hand. So that's really good. And that's about the extent of, because it's not so much white card draw as it's, cards in hand. That's what matters. And while the land tax ability, or heck, just the land tax card, is a beautiful, wonderful card, it also carries a decent little price tag. So there is not a land tax in here. It totally needs one, but, it is what it is. So we got to go with, random artifacts to draw some cards. Now, see your sundial? I didn't draw, so it just kind of makes sense, Emissai Tome, drawing 2 and then discarding 1. You're still up a card. Now, Candles of Ling, 2 to cast, 4 to use. Reveal the top card of your library. If it has the same name as a card in your graveyard, put it in your graveyard. So, as long as you don't have a plains in your graveyard, it says 4 mana tap, draw card. Which is not amazing, but it serves the purpose. Arcane Encyclopedia is just a cheaper JMD tome. That's all it is. Pilgrim's Eye, I was able to actually cast. Now, it doesn't net you anything. It just replaces itself in your hand. But it does give you a 1/1 flying blocker. And then we have Boreas Charger, which is more along the lines of the same thing, of the land tax type style ability. Now, let's look at the few mana rock, or the few accelerants, I guess, that we're running. Of course, the Marble Diamond, the Gold Mirror, Thunder Totem, and we're going. I'm telling you, I'm putting Smothering Tithe in more and more decks, especially mono white ones, because. Now, I've not drawn it yet. I've not drawn it and cast it. But I really believe that the number of times an opponent is going to pay 2 every time they draw a card is going to be real close to 0. It might actually be absolute 0. So, I don't know. So, of course, gotta have a Howling Mine. It's Howling Mine it's I'm gonna say it's good-ish because it's good in the right style deck. Now, obviously, in the Black Underworld Dreams style decks, it's amazing. But here, it's kind of just a cross that we must bear that it is, a 2-mana, draw 2 cards a turn. Yeah, it's just, that's the way it is. I'm running Reviving Dose because I stumbled across a life gain thing. Because my goal was to have Kiyomaro at 7 cards in hand, at least a 7/7, and then we're gaining 7 life. So I stumbled across Reviving Dose, and I went, yeah, it's 3 mana. All it does is gain you 3 life and draw a card. Both of those things are not bad. So here's the biggie. Because Kiyomaro says deals damage. So I'm like, well, okay, so all he's got to do is deal damage to gain the 7 life? That's super not kind of bad. So I'm going to strap him up with a bow and just pling and gain the 7 life. Kind of, you know what else is really good with a 7/7 or better? Gain you 7 life, because it's not lifelink, because it don't matter if he's a 20/20, you're still only gaining 7 life. Double Strike. And while this is not exactly a Voltron-ish type deck, it's got some elements to it, because here, it's Double Strike. Yeah, that's 7 commander damage twice, but you're also gaining 14. You have the byproduct of, if you've got the Fire Shrieker on it and it's big enough, it's kind of a 2-hit kill. Same thing with Battle Mastery. Battle Mastery has an even better use because it's an enchantment, and we're in white. And we'll get to that in a minute. Unquestioned Authority is just going to, let him smash in. And hey, it even replaces itself. That's why I chose Unquestioned Authority, is it replaces itself. Imperial Armor. Why not have him, like cards in hand squared or whatever? Well, it's not really squared, times 2. But Imperial Armor, good card. I love it. I've got Gorgon Flail. Now, this looks out of place. But I'll be honest with you, I've got it in there just because Viridian Longbow's in there. Because Viridian Longbow says the creature deals the damage. So now I'm going to plink a creature for 1, gain 7 life, and it's going to die. Regardless of how big it is, unless it's, indestructible. Grafted Exoskeleton is how I out-infected the Atraxa Infect deck in that game. I had 8 poison. One of the players had already died to infect, and all the rest of us were sitting around 8 and 9, and I was able to just sick rip because he had tapped out, had no blockers, and ripped it off the top of the library, and I'm like, okay. So I strapped it on my 7/7 and swung in for 9, and the Septic Rats had already given him 1, or it was Septic Rats or Vat Mother or something. He already had 1 poison counter of his own. And that was, even for him, that was like, that's awesome. High five, and we went on. But this is why the Battle Mastery was so important. It was because of the Mesa Enchantress. Cast an enchantment, draw a card. Now, we're also dealing with a life gain sub-theme here. And now we're kind of an enchantment sub-theme. So I was like, well, Spirit Link. Now, Spirit Link is completely different than a Life Link. Life Link just gives the creature Life Link, but Spirit Link spells it out, and you can use Spirit Link on an opponent's creature. So that really discourages them from attacking with it, period. Because if they attack you with it, you're going to take that damage and gain that life. If they attack somebody else with it, then you're just going to gain the life and go up. However, the thing about a Spirit Link commander is you're still going to take the commander damage. Even though you take 7, gain 7, you're going to take the 7 commander damage, so you can still die that way. But, you know. I've got an Ivory Tower. We're already amassing cards in hand, and we're wanting to gain life. You know? Ivory Tower seems like a pretty good. Divine Offering, a removal that you gain some life. Proper Burial. Now, Proper Burial may not exactly. Proper Burial's in here for 1 creature. Now, we are really, really creature light here. So, but let's peel through some just the straight up life gain cards. Congregate is a great card, especially in our format. Reaping the Rewards is a buyback Zuran Orb. I would be playing Zuran Orb in this spot if I had an extra Zuran Orb. But I love it. And we've got ways to like planar bursts, because, you know, all we're really going to have, do we want to sack it, is basics. Righteous Cause. Whenever a creature attacks, any creature, doesn't matter, you gain 1 life. They attack with 5, you get 5. So it kind of negates the 1/1s attacking you. I really don't like Akroma's Hair in this art. That's my only problem with it. And, you know, it does cost 5. Sanguine Sacrament's just straight up mana for life. Define Deflection, kind of a tricksy type card. Now we're going to get in. Gossamer Chains is really good because, like I said, we're running kind of creature light, so it's going to happen where we're not going to have a lot of creatures to block with. So the Gossamer Chains, we can bounce back and get a cast trigger every time we cast it. I know we've only got 1 Enchantress, but, you know. Angelic Accord. At the beginning of each in-step, you know, so you can get you some angels. I've got an Ivory Mask in there simply because I love the card, I love the art, and you know what? It doesn't get enough love. It's an enchantment, and it makes it to where they can't target you for, like, sacrificing or discarding. I like Sarah's Blessing because if our plan is just to beat face with our commander or 1 or 2 big creatures, we kind of don't need them to be tapped. And it's an enchantment. There again. And since we are gaining life, let's talk about Johnny's Pride Mate and how it is been errated. Current wording is whenever you gain life, put a +1/+1 counter on a Johnny's Pride Mate. There is no you may anymore. You cannot miss this trigger. It is not optional. It is going to happen. Of course, everybody's favorite turn 1 6/6 flying lifelinker. I mean, it's just really good. If it doesn't happen a lot on turn 1, but if you get it, you feel awesome. We got Evra Halcyon Witness. I love this card. It is used correctly, it's a good way to start doubling up your life every turn. A little mana intensive to do it, but it does work. And then, of course, you know, Sarah Avatar, because now Sarah Avatar is put into a graveyard from anywhere, shuffle it into its owner's library. Notice the absence of the word instead, so it will briefly hit the graveyard and then go into the library for the proper burial. So you will, when it dies, you'll gain double life and it'll shuffle back in. Now, let's look at some removal, because, you know, we need it. Of course, we got our Disenchant, Demystify, Humble. I count Humble as removal because this is what you're doing with it. You're playing it mid-combat on one of their creatures and blocking it and just smiting it. So, Celestial Flare. Yeah, Not a lot of people play this card, but how many times have you been attacked with one creature and it's sacrificed? So, I don't care if your Blightsteel is indestructible. Sack it. And it's attacking, so it kind of narrows it down. The nodes, we're not going to try to pronounce that first word, is, of course, the white color-shifted drop of honey. And more times than not, it stays out there quite a while, and it will, it'll lead up some creatures. Of course, we have Fated Retribution that I love because it's an instant, and it hits walkers. Righteous Confluence is, I'm lukewarm on Righteous Confluence. I mean, all three of those are okay. But now, in this deck, they're all a little better than okay. I can see myself wanting to exile 3 enchantments. I can see myself wanting to gain 15 life. I can see myself needing blockers. So, that's why it's in there. False Prophet. Now, False Prophet is the guy nobody wants to see dead. 2 mana, 2/2. When he dies, exile all creatures. That's it. And then, of course, we have Rout. Now, let's go ahead and run down the non-basics real quick. Of course, we've got the Rogue's Passage because we're trying to do some commander damage here. So Rogue's Passage is, and y'all know me, I think it's a underused card, so I use the heck out of it. A couple cycling lands with the desert and the steppe. I've got the Karu just because, I've been trying to play these because a lot of times in the early games, we take turns off, you don't have a lot of early drops, and if you can Karu on turn 2 or 3, a lot of times it doesn't really set you back that much. Especially in the bigger, more political games, And then, of course, got to have the Reliquary Tower. And because we have the Reliquary Tower, I want kind of double redundancy with the spellbook. Now, Vincer's Journal would fit amazingly in this deck because it does all the things we want it to do. It gains life, no max hand size. Relic Seeker, I've got in there to go and search out the bow or the exoskeleton or whatever it is that we need. Palace Jailer, just because the Monarch is another mechanic to put a card in my hand. Same way with the Sentinel Tower, or the Palace Sentinels. Now, Brave the Elements is just good old-fashioned utility. We are playing mono white, and this protects against a lot of the, especially the red board wipes, that deal damage and stuff like that. Reverse Damage is a card that nobody ever sees coming. I take that back. In like 94, 95, I was playing against the guy that taught me, and he saw it coming because he had this big giant creature. It was the only time ever, but people don't see it coming. They're just going to swing at you, and you're just like, I think I'll gain that life instead. Of course, we have Shelter. Shelter is a good tricks card, but it also draws you a card. So it's going to save your creature from combat. It's going to save your creature from targeted removal or whatever it is, but it also draws you a card. It replaces itself in your hand. Now, Abeyance. I didn't cover Abeyance in the Weatherlight set review because it's not stellar in EDH, but it was stellar in Standard. Or, well, Type 2, because Standard wasn't a thing. Not the terminology we used back then. But now, it sounds awesome. Can't play instants, sorceries, or abilities require activation cost, tapping. It does draw cards, so it kind of fits in the theme there. They can still play creatures and artifacts and planeswalkers and enchantments. They can still attack. There's a lot of things that they can do. But this was mainly used as I'm going to protect my turn. I'm going to make sure nothing It's on my turn, and nothing is going to surprise me. I'm going to cast Abeyance at the very beginning. You're not going to counter. You're not going to instant speed murder or whatever. Hey, guys, this is happening. Dawn Charm. Maybe another flex spot here. But a Fog, a Regenerate, and nobody ever sees white counter spells coming. So, Resurrection is obviously going to get back our whatever we need. We don't have a whole lot of creatures, but the ones we have, we would, kind of like stick around. And another little known card from Visions is a Resurrection, and for 1 more mana, you get a 1/1 counter on it. So that is what I've got for Kiyomaro. It was a ton of fun to play. It did way better than I expected it would. Of course, there's also the idea that people are not really, once they see you playing Kiyomaro, you're not instantly a target like you would be if you were playing Atraxa or Narset or, some of the more powerful commanders. But that's what I've got for right now. I do appreciate y'all watching. Y'all let me know what you think. I hope y'all are enjoying the old set review things. I thought of it, and it was like Big Weld says, see a need, fill a need. But I guess for now, it's time to shuffle and cut.